Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I am Chudiman Namdi. In this video, we're going to learn about the three layout stacks we have in SwiftUI. So we'll learn the HStack, which is the horizontal stack, the VStack, which is the vertical stack, and the ZStack. So in learning of these three stacks in this video, I am going to build a layout app in demonstration of all these three stacks. Now let's begin with the vertical stack. The vertical stack is the VStack, which arranges its subviews from top to bottom. That means in a line, top to bottom, in a vertical line. I mean, vertical line means here to here. So, okay, now let me begin. Let me remove this text. To start with the VStack, we first call it like this, VStack, then pass the closure function. Now let's go into its definition, stack. So you see VStack has an init with properties, alignment, spacing, content. Now this init is a constructor if you're coming from JavaScript, where we have classes, or any other programming languages that have classes and have constructors at its initializer. So this init is just like the constructor, and it's called whenever the VStack is being initialized. So you see it has three parameters: alignment, spacing, and content. Now this alignment, as we see, is for aligning the subviews in this stack in its horizontal axis, and you see it's defined, has a default value of center. So whenever we use this VStack without passing in the alignment, it will arrange the subviews in the center of its horizontal axis. Now we have the spacing here. The spacing is the distance between the adjacent subviews or nil. If you want to stack the stack, to choose a default distance of pair. So the spacing it's just the distances between each subviews in this VStack. So let me say you have 1, 2, 3 in the VStack. So this spacing will, after rendering A, will give a space being specified in this spacing, then render to give a space, then before rendering the last one. So you see it's a float, so therefore we will be passing in a decimal number, maybe 2.0 or 3.0, 44.0 or 44.25. Now you see it has a default value of nil, and also it's optional. So when we don't pass it, it takes a nil. Nil means like it will not have, the subviews will have no spacing between them. Then the content is a view builder that returns the view to be rendered in this VStack. Now let's go. Now see how we define the VStack with the closure function. Now in between these braces, like we have said, is where we will now add the views that will be rendered in a vertical line. Now let's add two text views. Now let's say payment plan. So you see it stacks them up from top to bottom. Now we can add the alignment, pass in the alignment, and say let the alignment can either be center, leading, or trailing. So you can see the leading, see its description, a guide that marks the horizontal center of the view. So you see it comes from the horizontal alignment protocol or structure. Then leading means it will align the subviews to the start of the VStack. So you can say a guide that marks the leading edge. Then last we have the trailing. Trailing means to the end of the VStack, and also it's a horizontal alignment, a guide that marks the trailing edge of the view. So for this tutorial, we're going to make it to be leading so that they come and start at the same point, at the leading edge or at the start of the VStack. Now let's add some properties to this text. Let's add the font, system, system. Then we have the size. Let's make it larger title. Then add the design. Then make it rounded. Make it bold. Then the font weight black. So we'll add the same thing to the plan. Very good. So you see our text has been aligned from top to bottom. Now let's look at the HStack. But before we look at the HStack, let's create two boxes. Now to do that, I'm going to move over to create another view. Let me call it plan view, so as to render plans we have in our app. Then create the body, make it some view. Then let's take in some parameters like the plan text, then the amount of the plan int, and then in the body let's arrange our elements in VStack. So let's add some text. Now this text will render the plan. So to render the plan, we do something like this. Then we'll render the amount. Okay, very good. So let's copy the plan and render it after this VStack. So let's pass in the plan here. For this plan, let's call it the basic plan. Then the amount $9. So here we'll come here and put dollars. Now let's add two plans. Pro, which gives it 19. Now we have this VStack. Now let's add some padding, then some background. Let's make it purple. Very good. Then add some corner radius. Let's make it 10.0. Then make the font my favorite font. Okay, very good, very good, very good. Bold, basic. So you see we have the plan view here and the plan view here. Now you see whenever we render views at the body of this computed property without using any of the stack, it will render them in a vertical line. Now we want to render these two plan views in a horizontal line so as to appear side by side. This is where the HStack, the horizontal stack, comes in. Now to do that, we'll define HStack here, HStack, then brace open, we'll now close our brace. Now this HStack will render these two views from left to right in a horizontal line. You can see it here. From left to right, they are no longer in a vertical line, they are now sideways. That's the work of this HStack. Now let's look at the definition. So you can see it also has parameters in its init, alignment, vertical alignment, like we saw in the VStack, but in this case it aligns in the vertical axis because we are dealing with the HStack here. Now the spacing, as we saw in the VStack, also it's here. So you can see the distance between adjacent subviews and it has a default value of nil. Then we have a content which is marked with a view builder telling SwiftUI that this content will return. This is a function that will return a view that we use to build the view in this particular view protocol or structure. So you see it's a function that returns a content. Okay, great. Our preview is up. So let's make some modification to our code. Now let me remove this bold so it can appear a little bit deeper. Very good. Now let me do the same here. Very good. Then add a padding of 40. Now let me stretch the frame. Add min width 0, max width to infinity. So you see it stretches our plans to have the same width and also stretch to the full width of our phone. So very good. Let me add some text here, down here, say text, how many dollars you have per month. So we just need to make it a little bold, a bit bold. Then font, let's make it rounded. Dot system, design, dot rounded, then dot small. I think we have an error here. Now let's just make it 10. Font system size, make it 10. No, let's make it 15. Okay, very good, very good. Now let me add a little bit of padding to the top. I think 10 is too much. Let's say 5. Okay, now let's add color so as to be able to change the color of the background. Let's say color. We're adding the color so that we can be able to change the colors in the background depending on the payment plan. So this goes off the background and takes up the color. So we can then pass color here and say color dot purple, no, gray for the basic, and then color dot purple for the pro. Okay, let's see what happens. Very good. So we have it here. Now let's look at the ZStack. Now the ZStack is used to render subviews on top of each other. So we can render this basic plan to be on top of this plan so that we can see this basic like it's on top of this pro plan. So to do that, we are going to use the ZStack. Now, how can we be able to use this ZStack? We just need to enclose the view inside this ZStack. Now, let's add a little bit of info down here telling the users about something about this pro. Now, we are going to use the ZStack for this design. So, in this pro plan, we have it here, the plan view for the pro. So, what we are going to do is that we will embed this plan view in ZStack. Now, whenever we embed it in the ZStack, we give it a closure function like we already saw with the other stacks, the VStack and the HStack. Then inside there is where we now stack up our views. Then if we set the first view, that first view becomes the base view. If you now set another view, like let me say this view, hello. Now this text view will be rendered on top of this plan view. You see it here. So you see that hello that appeared here. So you see it now. When we render another view here, let's see world. Now this text world will be rendered on top of this, and both of them will be rendered finally on top of this plan view. So it's like stacking them up, but rendering them on top of each other. So you see world is rendered, is at the forefront, while the text hello is rendered next, then followed finally by this. So now this text world is the last to be rendered and it's on the forefront of the rendering. Now okay, so let's clean this up and then write something like this. This is monthly pay. Now we can add a background color here. Sorry, can add a background color here. Let me say orange. Then give it a small padding. Then corner radius 3. Then foreground color to be white. And then font system size, let me say 2. Then design dot rounded. Padding size 2. No, let's make it 12. Now let's make this padding 4. Let's make the padding 4 so it appears well. And then we can then use offset to move this element. So we can set the x and y axis. You can set either the x or y axis. So if you want to move this element to the left, you use the x axis. If you want to move it to the y, you use the y axis. So now let's move it downwards, so because I want it to appear here. So you see I'm using the offset 20. Now let me increase to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Let me go 95. So I want it to be at the middle. Okay, very good. Now let me add a little bit of padding again. It grows up, and then let me make it bold. So you see it appears very well. Now you see how we're able to use this ZStack to stack this text on top of this plan view so as to get this effect. So this is the work of the ZStack. It's just like using the Z index in HTML and CSS. When you use position absolute, then use the left and right coordinates to move around the HTML elements. Then use the Z index to change when how the elements will be stacked, what will be shown first and what will be shown last. Now if we move this text at the back of the plan view, then this text will be at the bottom, while this plan view will be at the forefront. This is because like we have said before, the text was first rendered. Now the plan view was now rendered last, rendering it on top of the text view. So that's how the ZStack works. Now let me reposition them very well. So you see we have our payment plan, nice and working. So we can also come here to this basic plan, then do the same. You can copy, come here, then embed it in ZStack. Then at the last we'll come here, say this is, you can say this is yearly pay. Then we can change it to, let me say, yellow. So you see the effect we have. Very nice and beautiful. So this is how we use the HZstack and the VStack to achieve any design we want in SwiftUI. Now let us recap. This VStack is used to arrange its subviews in a vertical alignment from top to bottom. This is where we used it in this payment plan text header. We're able to render this text payment and this text plan from top to bottom in a vertical line. Then we created this structure plan view that rendered these two basic plans for us. Now we used the HStack to render them sideways from left to right, because that's the design we want to achieve. Then we now used the ZStack to be able to render this little text on the payment plan at the bottom of it using the ZStack. So we are able to achieve this kind of design with the use of ZStack. Now, when using ZStack, the first element or the first subview rendered becomes the base view, and the next element follows it will be rendered on top of the base view. So that's why we saw this plan view being rendered and then this text view being rendered on top of it. Now, if you change their position and render this text first before this plan view, this text will be at the back of this gray plan. So that is how the ZStack works. Now we can also look at the definition as we did with others. See the ZStack, it also has in it the alignment, aligns it at the center, the views, and also it has a content which is a view builder that returns the view you want to render in the VStack. So you see the alignment, the guide for aligning the subviews in this stack on both the X and Y axis, and content, a view builder that creates the content of this stack. So this is the end of this video. I hope you understood everything that we did here. Please like, share, and subscribe for a wider outreach of this video to other developers out there. Also, you can subscribe to my channel, and if you have any question or you have any confusion on whatever we did here, on any properties at all or anything you want to learn, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. I'll attend to all of them. And also, if you have anything or any app or any feature you want me to explain in SwiftUI, please drop it in the comment section. I'll go through them and I will surely do a video on each of them. Thank you so much and see you on the next video. Bye.